Hey guys, it's me again, and I'm still editing. And I have this picture right here from the mini events that I just did. And the client ordered a print, and she asked me if I could clean her husband's teeth a little bit more. So I wanted to show you guys how I do that because I do this all the time. I have an action that I use that I bought or that I downloaded like forever ago. I mean, literally, it's been years that I've been using this same action, and it's free, totally free online. Now, there's a gazillion different ways to whiten teeth or brighten the eyes. But I have just been using the same action for so long, and it's just been a part of my arsenal. So I wanted to share it with you because it is free. Over here in the window, the actions window, you'll see it. So if you go up to window, if you don't have this actions thing checked, then you won't see it. So watch when I uncheck that, it goes away. So when I check it, it comes back. So this is where my coffee shop eye bright action is. And this action runs a series of events over this portrait, which allows me to go in and paint the eyes, sharpen the eyeballs, brighten the eyes, and brighten the teeth. And some people need an extra teeth whitening. Um, I love having this action because it just takes care of all those things in one swoop. So I'm going to give you guys the download link to this action in the post. But literally, it's right here on the coffee shop blog. You may want to go check it out. There's a lot of free stuff here to download and play with. And when I first got started as a photographer, this is pretty much where I got everything from because it was free. So, and I'm still using this to this day. And literally, I think I downloaded that like 10 years ago. But you can see the before and after here where they've brightened the eyes of this little boy. And I'm going to try to do that as well with this picture. So after you download an action and load it into Photoshop, first of all, you would download the action to your computer. If you see these little three lines over here, this is where you would load the action, and then you go get it off of your computer. It's usually a .atn file. You hit open. I'm not going to do that because mine's already here, and then it'll load that file into all your actions. So you should have some defaults in there, but this will load a brand new action for you. And I think I created this folder, possibly. I don't know. It's like I said, it's been so long since I've loaded this in here. So anyway, I'm going to put my cursor and highlight this eye bright action. And I'm going to go down here. Oops, that's the folder. So we need to go to the action. And I'm going to see that there's this play button here. We want to push play, and that's telling Photoshop to play the action. So right here it says Coffee Shop Bright Eyes creates 3 layers to improve the eyes in the portraits. An eye define, which is a sharpener. An eye bright, it's just a layer where we can brighten the irises on people's eyeballs. And then whites, and that's what I use to do the teeth and then also to do the white part of the eyes. You won't see any changes until you paint on the layers or mask with a white soft brush. So this is a great way too for you guys to get used to what layers are, how people use them, and because these actions, we definitely use layers. So I'm going to hit continue, and you'll see right over here in my layers palette, again, go to Windows and layers to turn that on. You're going to see that it created these 3 layers on top of my background layer. It created an eye define layer, which we can sharpen the eyes. It added a bright eye layer, which we can brighten the eyes, and then added this white layer, which is where we're going to go in and fix his teeth. Excuse me. So I'm just going to take these one by one. Now, what's going on here is there's a layer and then a layer mask added, okay? And I'll get into this in a more advanced class maybe later, but What that is we've added the layer, but then we've added a mask on top of that layer so that that layer is not showing. So what this allows us to do is to go in here and paint or kind of erase back the mask only in the areas where we want that eyeball to be sharpened. So same thing with the whites. We can go in there, click on that mask, paint in just where I want that mask to be removed to bring the white underneath. The beauty of working with layers is you can turn down the opacities of layers. So if you want it to be less strength, I mean, there's just so many non-destructive editing methods that you can use with layers. So my normal workflow would be to go in and start working on the eyes. And I don't go into the eye define first. I always do the bright eyes first. So they do not put a layer mask on the bright eye layer. So you really need to just kind of brush over the eyes where you want them to be brightened. And how I tone it is I end up going in and dropping the opacity down. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to select my brush, or you can hit B for a shortcut to get to your brush. What's important is these layers need to be flipped, because if I start painting right now, it's going to paint a black, okay? So what we really need to do is I'm going to go backwards. See, I got my history panel here so that I can go back. Is I need to flip these to the white one. And this is going to help me to paint over this layer just around the iris. Be very careful not to get the pupil when you're using this action, because it's going to, you know, you're going to be able to tell that you actually did work here. Now what I do is I'll use the erase tool, shortcut E, and I'll erase back the pupils if I accidentally hit that. So if I turn this layer on and off, I can see that it really brightened up her eyeballs, or her iris. Now I can go in here and turn that down a little bit too to adjust it. Okay, I'm going to try to go into his eyes are a little bit darker, but nevertheless we want to see if maybe we can brighten them up again. I always paint, whoops, I went into that lid there, which is not good. It's not going to look realistic. So, and I'm erasing back in case I accidentally brushed anywhere else. So let's turn this on and off, and you can see that that added a little bit of brightness to these eyes. Now, you know, everything I do is super natural. I hate looking at pictures where you can totally tell people have been photoshopped. On the guy here, I can really tell his eyes have been messed with, and I'm sure they could too, since he seems to have brown eyes and she has green eyes. So I'm going to drop this opacity of this layer down so that he starts looking more natural. And look, it's just really subtle, but it still makes such a huge difference. So let's drop it down to about 60. I think that looks nice. So then my second step is to go in and sharpen the eyes. So I like to do that after I've done the brightening. So remember, you got to click on the layer mask, and then we're going to hit B for brush. And now since we have a black layer mask, that means we need to paint in white. So make sure that the top one here is white, or else you're going to be you're going to be painting black, which nothing's going to happen. So we need to paint in white to tell it to remove this layer mask. So I'm going to hit B. And all I do for sharpening is I kind of just go around the eye, around the outside of the eye. Sometimes with the women, I'll go into the eyelash line, maybe even down here, maybe a little bit into the iris. With the sharpening, tends to do those darken things down a bit. So that's why I don't want to erase what I just did. And let's not give him eyeliner. I'm going to go back there. I'm just going to paint around the black part of the eye. So let's turn that layer off and on and see what it did. It just really sharpened up everything. So I'm also going to turn this down because I want it to just be a little subtle, maybe even down to 40. Yeah, that's better. So now it's requested, the wife here has asked me to brighten her husband's teeth. I'm also going to brighten hers up as well since I'm already in here. So I'm going to go to the whites, and we also need to have white selected. Now the trick to this one, especially when we're going over teeth, is to have my brush the same size as each tooth. Because if I have it too big, what's going to happen is it's going to paint over that in-between area of the teeth, and we don't want to do that because that looks fake. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and I want my brush to just be the size of the tooth, of each tooth. And all I do is just kind of click, 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 click around in here and get these teeth looking wider. They look so much better already. Some of my clients joke not only am I a photographer, but I'm a hairstylist, I'm a makeup artist, I'm a dentist, I'm a plastic surgeon. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I mean, that's the beauty of being able to do these things quickly. So I'm going to also clean up her teeth too. Okay, so that's good. Let's zoom out and see the before and after. So to go to before and after, we're going to go up here to the top of the history brush and click on the first history setting here to turn everything off that we did. And we're going to go all the way to the bottom. And look at that. It's totally subtle, but still just makes such a difference. And they don't look fake. Nobody looks like an evil monster. But I am going to fix this hair here. So let me kind of show you some things I would do to fix this hair. I think one tool that I haven't shown you guys yet, which I absolutely love, it's such a huge time saver, is the content aware tool. So let me hit my lasso, and I'm just going to select some layers of hair here. Whoops. Now, all of these tools take practice, okay? You just don't like start using them and get it. You're going to get frustrated. It's going to take some time. I wish there was a shortcut, but you just have to practice. So we're going to take the lasso tool, and I'm selecting some areas of this hair here, and I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, Content Aware, and hopefully, sometimes it doesn't work, it's going to fill in to what I want. It still thinks I want that hair there, so this is when I might make a decision to go over to the Patch tool, and that's this one right here, and kind of drag it to where I want it to be. Okay, so that really helped. I'm just going to go in here and select this. And get some of that hair out of the way. So I'm really not liking the way that looks. So now I'm going to go to my third decision I would make in a situation like this is to go to Clone. And Clone is a tool that we can sample from one area and click onto another. One of the ways of mastering Clone is kind of knowing what size your brush needs to be, as well as the hardness of the brush. Since I know I'm going up to this hard edge here, I'm going to make my brush a little hard than I normally would. So I'm going to Alt Sample, let's go up here, and bring this down here to the top of her head. Whoops, let's make my brush smaller. And I'm just going to drag across here. That looks unnatural. Ooh. Takes quite a bit of working with things to get them just so. I don't like that little pattern there, and so this is where I would probably do my content aware, which will smooth and blend things out really nice. So I'm going to go to edit, fill, content aware. Ah, didn't work. Today content aware is not wanting to work for me. So let's try patch. That looks nice. The barn back here has straight lines, so I see jagged lines behind her, and that tells me something's not right. So over time, you start noticing these little clone marks that people make, and sometimes people post images on Facebook or whatever, and I can tell, or even my own images, I can tell it's been cloned. So you start kind of noticing these things after you do so much of this for a while. So I think that looks better. This line here is still not straight enough. And then I always check my work by going back to the original and seeing, did I make a difference at all, or should I just leave that alone? And I do think I made a difference in her hair. There's just one little patch here that I want to fix. So I'm going to go right into there. I mean, there's really only so much we can do with frizz. I think that looks way better. Not like the best portrait I've ever taken, but these are mini session events, so it is what it is. I'm going to go in. I see just a little lightening I could do in her eye and in his eye. So I'm going to go back to the tool that I showed you guys the other day, which is to use the clone tool, but to bring it to, instead of the normal and 100% opacity, I'm going to do it as soon as my computer stops freaking out, to lighten and 40%. And we're going to try to bring the brush back down to soft again. And I'm going to just kind of take out that little area he's got going on there. And then I'm going to go in here and take hers out as well. The key to retouching skin is to really sample the right part of skin to make things look more natural. Okay. I think this is as good as we're going to get for now. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something.